Yeah, thank you. Property is back. So now, friends, we come to the third presentation of this session. And every time we hear of joining hands of big two energy majors, so we have BP and Reliance in our mind. And today I have the pleasure of introducing my friend Mr. Vinod Tahiliani, who is the CEO of India Gas Solutions. So he leads obviously the India Gas Solutions, a BP Reliance joint venture, which offers innovative solutions to grow the Indian gas market and cater to the Indian gas customers. In a career spanning over 3 decades, Vinod has developed and grown businesses with his strong commercial acumen. With BP, he has a rich and varied experience in oil and gas for 2 decades. He has worked across exploration, projects, and producing assets, and LNG and gas value chain businesses across countries and diverse cultures. Before joining BP, he specialized in project finance and infrastructure advisory for power, oil and gas, and infra projects with a leading bank in India. He has a degree in mechanical engineering from Mumbai University and an MBA from IIM Bangalore. Today, he is going to share the role of LNG in the long haul heavy vehicle segment. And I think that's important for every CGD because there's the next phase we are now getting into. So let's give him a round of applause and hear us what he has got to say. Yeah. Thank you, Vinod.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm assuming I can get this to open. So, good afternoon, everyone. And I hope you can hear me. There's a lot of background noise here. It's been very distracting as we've gone through the various presentations. So, testing here. Okay, so looks like my slides have not come through and I will just have to give you a talk. So apologies for this mess up, but we'll just have a conversation around LNG as a transport fuel. So when we look at the concept of LNG as an auto fuel for medium and heavy commercial vehicles, we have the example which was cited by one of the panelists in the morning about China. China has grown this business. There are other international examples. LNG as a transport fuel for medium and heavy commercial vehicles is being used in US. Europe has built a green corridor for using LNG as a transport fuel, and some developments are happening there as well. So we were part of an industry-led study by the Federation of Indian Petroleum Industry, which looked at what is the potential for LNG as a transport fuel, looking at what could be potentially be the size of the market, what are some of the imperatives from a government and regulation standpoint that we need to adopt, and how we can actually promote LNG as a transport fuel for this country. So if I look at what the study tells us, the study looked at demand based on multiple market and infrastructure rollout scenarios. Because obviously, as has been said in the morning panel discussion as well, often it's a chicken and egg situation. Which comes first? Do you roll out the infrastructure first, or do you actually create the demand first? And often infrastructure has to lead for the gas industry. And looking at various scenarios and trying to see what can be achieved in the Indian context, the PwC study looked at a range of scenarios where the gas demand could range from something as low as 4 to 5 million tons per annum to something as high as 48 million tons per annum by 2035. Now, obviously, all of this depends on a range of assumptions, but the base case scenario looked at a moderate rollout across 100 top locations in India by 2024, as well as a regulatory environment which enables LNG to have the existing tax differential vis-a-vis diesel and extends the life of LNG trucks from the current diesel trucks of 10 years to 15 years. With that kind of a scenario, we looked at a demand of 14 million tons in the base case. What this would mean is that you would need to have something around 400,000 trucks to be running on LNG for that demand to materialize. Which, if you think about, I think if my numbers are correct, the current vehicle park for medium and heavy commercial vehicle is of the order of 16 million vehicles. So we are not talking about a very large number of trucks or as a share or as a penetration rate to be achieved by 2035. So this feels doable. This feels like something that we should think about and look at, and that kind of led to further understanding of, okay, so what does that mean? Will it be economical? So the PwC study went ahead and looked at various scenarios because, as you would expect, typically an LNG tank, because of the cryo storage involved and the logistics involved, would probably end up being more expensive to buy as a truck than a diesel truck. Though that differential comes down with the new Euro 6 or the BS6 trucks, the differential between the two still will continue to exist to some extent. But that is overcome by the fact that gas as a fuel would be cheaper to operate in the long run and gives a payback typically in the order of 3 years for their fleet owner. So what we expect is LNG in a total cost of ownership terms would be about 15 to 20% cheaper than a diesel truck and would pay back the initial investment, higher investment that you would make in an LNG truck in circa 3 years. In addition, of course, the big advantage of LNG would be that it would give environmental benefits. So the PwC study looked at a range of estimates by various people, and US Department of Energy, the BP studies, and the EIA studies, and based on which it estimated that an LNG truck would have 22% lower emissions than a diesel fuel truck before after treatment, and which might be a little less with after treatment, but it's still significant. It would also be 90% lower NOx and about 100% lower SOx. So significant improvement in the and significant environmental benefits would result from using LNG as a fuel for the medium and heavy commercial vehicles. If we then looked at what could be, how do you go about rolling the infrastructure for this? So today, most of the LNG terminals which are dotting the country have put in place truck loading bays. So Dahej, for example, has 5 truck loading bays. Each bay has the capacity to fill 10 to 12 18-ton tankers a day, and each truck can carry 8,000 standard cubic meters of gas, so equivalent gas. So from that point of view, there is significant capacity available across the LNG terminals in the country to provide LNG for trucking. The question then becomes, how do you set up the corridors for LNG which can be serviced? How do you set up the infrastructure at the retail sites for LNG to be used as a fuel? Which leads to the next question saying, are we allowed to do this in this country? What is the regulatory framework for LNG in trucking? So actually, we have been moving at pace. The government has actually notified guidelines which enable the use of LNG as a fuel. Also allow an LNG tank to be fitted onto trucks, and LNG tankers to be used up to 18 million tons LNG tankers are permitted to be used for moving LNG across the country. Also, draft regulations have been put in place for retrofitment of trucks for conversion to LNG. So I think I would end up by end this or conclude the regulation part by saying we are in action. The regulatory framework is moving towards actually allowing LNG to be a viable fuel for this sector. We then move on to, so what holds it back? You know, a lot of players, you know, Petronet LNG, GAIL have made announcements about LNG as a truck fuel. So if I step back and think about it, what you need to do here is to, for any of these products, you need an ecosystem to be put in place where all the players work together to make this a reality. So as I said, regulations, I would say, is kind of tending towards green because we have the regulations in place. I think some of the more detailed regulations in terms of what is needed to set up and how long does the permitting take, etc., are yet to be tested. But in theory, regulations are in place. In terms of can we move LNG from the terminal to the retail outlets, I think that technology is in place. Various players are available who will build those tankers for you. So that is, I would say, a full green. In terms of infrastructure, as I said, the LNG loading bays are in place. However, we still need to develop the LNG dispensing infrastructure at the retail outlets. And then when it comes to the users of this, the fleet owners, our interactions with various fleet owners have indicated that they are quite keen to try out a new fuel, but they need confidence that LNG will be available and the LNG infrastructure rollout will happen before they can switch their trucks to LNG. And finally, it comes to the auto manufacturers, the OEMs who will manufacture the LNG trucks. Unfortunately, at this stage, they seem to be playing a wait and watch game. And they're saying, we're not sure whether the gas demand will exist, whether there will be demand for these trucks. We are too busy with BS6 rollout. So right now, we are not interested. So I think, you know, there's a mixture of greens and yellows, I would say, which we need to find a way of converting to all green such that this business can become a reality and can, you know, provide an economical fuel with environmental benefits. So what do I see are the key enablers for LNG adoption? First of all, from a government standpoint, it would be great to see regulations which incentivizes auto manufacturers to build LNG trucks. So if the corporate average fuel norms, fuel economy norms which have been announced for passenger cars are extended to commercial vehicles, that will be play a key role in actually incentivizing auto manufacturers to build LNG trucks as part of their fleet. Also, you know, the government has the famous FAME scheme, which incentivizes use of electric vehicles. We all tend to agree that electric vehicles for the long distance haulage trucks is quite far away. So how about having a similar scheme for actually incentivizing the conversion of trucks to LNG? In terms of, as a cleaner fuel, LNG needs to be provided the kind of taxation benefits to motivate the fleet owners to shift to LNG, as well as in terms of tax rebates, as well as maintaining an appropriate rebate or differential between LNG and diesel taxation. And as was mentioned in the morning, inclusion of natural gas in GST would be a way of ensuring that. From a regulatory standpoint or the detailed regulation standpoint, we need to have the regulations for development of LNG retrofitment stations. Because today these regulations exist for CNG retrofitment stations, but not for LNG retrofitment stations. And also, I don't know if the speaker from ARAI is here, but I think there is a practice currently that every kit has to be certified 3 years. There's a lot of time and effort involved in certification, whether they could consider allowing a one-time certification for each kit. And it comes down to the fact that LNG has to be a pan-India business developed along long corridors. So currently there's some confusion on whether LNG is part of the CGD license I think that needs to be clarified at the earliest, such that you can actually enable LNG to be developed by anybody, without having to be tied up to the CGD licensee, as well as allow the LNG player to offer LCNG, because that's a requirement from a point of view of avoiding the methane boil off. If there is not enough LNG truck traffic, then you would have to convert your boil off into CNG. So that would be, I think, the key enablers that I would see. I would conclude by saying that if we talk about the fact that we have a requirement or an aspiration to go to gas having a 15% share of the fuel mix in the country. Various estimates are available, various companies produce energy outlooks. I think most of them would agree that this is not going to be an easy task. At the same time, to be able to achieve that, LNG can play in transport sector, can play a very vital role in adding a significant chunk of demand to enable India to meet that aspiration. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod. Many of us sitting here firmly believe that the future of the CNG industry, CGD specifically, would be in the LNG. And what I could get from your presentation was that there's a lot of work which needs to be done still to make it actually possible. So if there are one or two questions, we can definitely take. We have little time with us. The panel is bang on time as of now. So if there are any questions, yes, please.
Hello, sir. So since morning we are hearing about a lot of investment and development of gas infrastructure, pipelines and CGD networks are coming. Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. So since morning, sir, we are hearing a lot about gas infrastructure development. A lot of pipelines are coming up, CGD networks are coming up. So it will take few years. But how you see a LNG trucking future? Because once all this infrastructure will come up, still there will be some requirement for LNG trucking, the overshore pipeline?
So I think there are two parts to your question. The first part is, once you have a pipeline network developed, will you need to move LNG by truck as well? And my answer would be yes. There will continue to be remote parts of the country which will not be covered by the pipeline infrastructure. As an example, if you think about, are we going to extend the pipeline network into the hills? It's going to be very difficult and expensive. So there will be those kind of customers for LNG, industrial customers, who you can meet by moving LNG to them by truck. What my presentation was for the second part, which is actually using LNG as a fuel for trucking. And that will continue because it is more dense than natural gas as a fuel. It gives you better range and better economy.
So, with your wide perspective, as of now, I believe there's only one LNG truck in operation, which is in the Adani port at Dahej. Are there any more? Number one. And number two question, are there any operational LNG fuel stations anywhere in India, sir? Two questions.
So you are right. I think there are, in addition to that LNG truck that the Adanis have put up or developed, there are a few LNG buses which have been put into place. But as I said, that's a India-specific thing. This is something which is quite common. So I think the panelist from Shell, Ashwini, in the morning mentioned that China has seen a huge growth in the number of LNG trucks. So LNG trucks are quite prevalent across the world. From a technology point of view, there is no issue. It's just a case that we haven't done, as I said, none of the auto manufacturers have built an LNG truck, and conversion, people have been reluctant. And on your second question, which was?
LNG fuel stations up anywhere?
I believe that Petronet LNG and some others have done LNG stroke LCNG stations. I don't know whether there is, because there is nobody who's got an LNG truck to fill up. You know, having an LNG station today doesn't mean anything.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vinod, for that.
There's one operational
Yeah,
station
please.
in Bhubaneswar as of now, but there's no dispensing happening because there's nobody to fuel the tank, no bus or truck.
So, if that is all, so can we hear it loudly for Mr. Vinod? Yeah, there is one question on that side, so he can answer sitting here. Yeah.
The question is not for Mr. Vinod. Anybody else from the panel or people sitting over here can answer. The doubt that he raised about what about the permissions for LNG retailing? Can a LNG retailer in a CGD area of somebody else retail LNG? So can anyone answer on that?
As of now, there are no regulations on this, and as the business evolves, the government is going to come out with regulations.
So, if there's nothing else, I would like to thank Vinod, Julian, and they for some wonderful presentations they made. And in a way, I think they showed us the future of the CGD industry. So, if we have to move forward in the coming few years, I think LNG and bio-CNG will be the order of the day. So, once again, can we hear for all three of them? And thank you very much.
Thank you to all our presenters. You need to stay back. There's a small memento we would like to present to thank you for taking your time out to join us today. Nima. So I'll request Mr. Amit Garg to present the mementos to all our speakers. And I request Mr. Tahiliani to please present the memento to Mr. Amit Garg. He's got that for you. So we'll now break for tea, and in 15 minutes I request all of you to join us for the last session, which is again a very, very interesting session on policy and regulatory development of gas infrastructure, which is to be moderated by Mr. Vivek Joshi. And we have a very interesting panel comprising of Mr. Deepak Mahurkar, Partner Leader Oil and Gas Advisory, PwC India, Mr. Mahesh Shedbal, Vice President Commercial, Pipeline Infrastructure Limited, Mr. Deepak Mehta, Head of Business Development, India Energy Exchange, and Mr. Subir Purkhayastha, former Director of Finance, and he's presently with Think Gas. So in 15 minutes, we request you to please be seated on your, at your places. Thank you.